Is this thing on?
Are you ready, Matt?
You're listening to Box Office Bingers
with Matt Diaz and Ernesto Santos.
Good evening, folks. We have a wonderful evening's entertainment lined up for you.
We know each other. He's a friend from work.
Box Office Bingers.
And the only way that I know how to do it is to find you a bloody good dump.
He's my friend. I don't have friends. I got family.
I can do this all day.
You know, if you put your mind to it, you can accomplish anything.
Hello and welcome to another episode of Box Office Bingers. Ernesto, we are continuing our road to the Oscars. So tell the lovely people what we are reviewing this week.
So this week is, guys, it's like our animation episode, I guess you call it. We're going to be going over the nominees for animated short film. We were able to watch them all. So that's Butterfly or Papillon, Forever Green, The Girl Who Cried Pearls, Retirement Plan, and The Three Sisters. And then we're going to be going over the other, as far as animated features, we already reviewed Elio, K-Pop Demon Hunters, and Zootopia 2 in our reviews last year. You can check that out in our in the playlist that I'll tag above if you're watching on YouTube. So today we're going to be talking about Arco, and we're going to be talking about Little Amélie, or The Character of Rain. Both of these are French films and nominated for Best Animated Feature.
Yeah, we both had the opportunity and the to watch all of them, and these are interesting selections on all fronts when it comes to animation. A lot of differences between all of them, but I look forward to diving into all of that. And we can probably just quickly mention the other nominations of Elio, K-Pop Demon Hunters, and Zootopia, since we're in that conversation of just just a refresher, like a quick review on some of these while we're here as we are talking about the Oscar nominees. But before we dive into all of that later on to the show, we don't have much news. Has been pretty quiet. Not too much is going on from what we've already kind of talked about. Little updates here and there, but nothing too major that we can't cover in a future episode. As we said, we're going to be focusing a lot on the Oscar nominees. But since we're not going to be diving into any entertainment news this week, we will be going into our Whatcha Watchin. So Ernesto, we'll start with you. What have you been watching?
So I've got a few things, but the first
Okay.
thing that I want to start with is St. Dennis Medical Season 2. This is a show that just doesn't miss. Like my wife and I, we binged season 1 at least 2 or 3 times through, and like within a week we started watching season 2. We caught up. I think we're like 11 episodes deep right now, and this show is just so digestible. It's so good. Wendy Clavin, who I think that's how you pronounce her name, she was also in Reno 911. She was in The Goldbergs. Like, she is the Michael Scott of this. This is like another mockumentary style show, and she's absolutely fantastic in it. But
you're right.
It's hilarious, and it is just what I really love is like the rewatchability of this show. Is that each episode is its own contained thing. There's overarching things, but it's just like a classic sitcom, like this mockumentary style sitcom, where you can just kind of like turn your brain off for 30 minutes and just enjoy it.
Yeah, looks I'm reading here February 12th. That's the 12th episode. Is the latest episode, and then it looks like they're taking a month off, and then they're going week to week up until the final episode, which is episode 18, which airs on April 6th. So that's probably when I'm going to start diving into it. Probably soon after, shortly before that, because for me, this is to your point, this is very digestible. I love the first season of St. Dennis Medical. It is hilarious.
Yeah, it's so good.
And I find this very a bingeable show, and I would hate to be caught up with it and then have to wait another week for it. I just want it like, let me just put them on, like, have a good laugh, 20 minutes, easy watch. So probably toward the end of the season, I'll probably give it a full like binge and then just eat it all up because it's good entertainment. It really is, especially on a long day at work. You pop
Yes.
this on, puts a smile on your face.
It's just I mean, it's so good. Some of the characters are so petty against each other, and it's just like it's just great. The inside to me, I think like each character's like, especially Bruce the surgeon,
Mm.
and you have I don't remember her character name, but the main lead, she's the office administrator. Is it Joyce? Joyce, I think is her name is in the show.
Uh, I see Alex is her name.
Alex,
Alex,
the
Bruce.
nurse. Alex, the
Yeah.
main nurse who's there in the middle, but I'm talking about the administrator. I think her name is Joyce.
Was she in a Superstore?
No.
No, different one. Okay, never mind. Moving on. Oh, yes, yes, you're right. Yes, her name is Joyce, from the Goldbergs and Real
What
911.
is
Yes,
it?
you're right.
What's her real name?
Wendy McLinden Cove.
Yeah, I was way off. Not even close to what I said her name was. But she, I
One more
think,
time. Wendy McLandon Cove, I think.
yeah, that sounds right. That sounds right. Yeah, Matt. You have Matt, the new who's like the new guy in the field, and he's like just joining them. He just, I don't know. I love the dynamic that each character brings. You got David Allen Greer, who's like the grumpy old doctor.
Yeah.
I I love it. I think it's so funny. I think it's like it gets good praise, but I think that, I mean, this show should be a bigger hit than what it is. It's because the writing is just so good.
Yeah, I feel like because I mean, I don't know for sure, but I feel like it's because it's on ABC or NBC, like it's in their comedy. Well, they don't really do the comedy hour anymore, but it's a comedy show on NBC, and it's not getting the attention, say, Abbott Elementary was getting when it was on ABC. But aside from those two comedies, like everything else is on streaming. So the fact that they are doing really well on cable network is already a feat in of itself.
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. So I'll be curious to hear your thoughts when you catch up. I'm gonna be very sad because after this week I'll be completely caught up, and then I'll have to wait. But then I can start on some other stuff that I'm behind on.
There you
Oh,
go.
but something else I'm very excited for is this new
Ooh,
season of Shrinking. It's been I haven't seen the second episode. I saw the premiere for this season, and I thought it was great. We're exploring more of Harrison's Ford character. We also have this cameo who seems like he's going to be in the series this season is Michael J. Fox as a character who's playing Parkinson. So I think that's really interesting that we're going to get that, like, pretty much this aspect of his life played through this character that he's playing.
mhm.
And there's an interesting twist to his character. For those who have seen it, know what I'm talking about. Matt, I don't know if you already know. You haven't seen it. It
No,
is.
I haven't seen it.
It's another one. It's just the writing is so good. It's so funny. To me, I think that this is better than Ted Lasso. I think this is the writing is just so good. It's really funny, but also very very heartfelt. Like, you find yourself laughing and crying in the same episode. It's great. I can't wait to go on the ride for this season.
Yeah, it just premiered not too long ago on Apple TV. Looks like the first, at the time of this recording, the first 3 episodes are out right now, and then looks like we're getting 11 episodes also ending on April 8th. So this is a me and Megan show, so I have to wait, so we can dive in on this.
Mm.
However, this show has always been amazing. I love what they're doing with Shrinking, and now, they're doing double duty because the creators of Ted Lasso started working on Shrinking, and now they're going back to Ted Lasso. We're getting a new season of that sometime this year, for Ted Lasso. So I'm curious to see what they come up with. But
Yeah.
this show has been continuously just killing it, and the fact that Harrison Ford is in a comedic role is like he is hilarious in this show, and everyone, it's like the jokes per minute in this show is really incredible. It's really you're right, it's like thoughtful comedy, and that's exactly what Ted Lasso was. And they found a niche of like wholesome comedic timing. But yet there's also some dramatic beats in here that's very like I don't know, it's very emotional, but also that's the trick, you
Hmm.
laugh, you cry. These are the shows that we kind of are wanting to see, Yeah, I really enjoy Shrinking, and so I can't wait to start season 3 when we get there.
Yeah, I think you kind of hit the nail on the head. I think it finds a good way to balance the humor and the drama, and it does very seamlessly to where it feels almost realistic.
Hmm. Yeah,
Uh,
yeah, I look forward to it.
so something else that's me and I watch with me and my wife is Bridgerton.
Ah, yes.
Now, this is not a me show. This is 100% a her show, and I watch it with her because I love her. That's why I watch this show. Like to me, it's fine. Like I get it. What actually keeps me intrigued more than anything is the classical take, and I've talked about this when
Hmm.
the previous seasons is they do these classical covers of like hit songs. Like I think the one this year was like it was like a quartet of DJ got me falling in love. I was like, this was pretty
Oh,
good. I was like, damn, this is like, it's like you hear the violins going the dun 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 dun. Dun, dun. I was like, man, I mean, I was like everything, like there's like a bunch of like romantic shit happening, and I could
yeah.
care less. Like it was fine.
I could care less. All of a sudden, he's like, "Wait a minute, is that Usher? Usher?" It's like,
Yeah,
is that who it is? Is that
it's
who
like,
they're doing right now?
mm,
DJ's got us falling
falling
in
in love. Yeah, exactly.
love. Yeah, classic.
Classic. I was like, that's what I'm talking about. Uh,
Ernesto just stands like, "Yeah, yeah, that's my shit.
it's the only reason why I watch this.
Hell yeah." Hannah's like, "Sit down, sit down. What the hell are you doing?"
But I mean, the show's fine. It has its drama. It ended on a cliffhanger. Just some parts were really funny because it just like some of the sexual stuff is like a little over the top. Like,
Mm,
all right, so there's something that happens in the end. There's these two people. They get together, and
yeah.
they're he's like making out with her on the stairs, and like they cut to like this medium shot of him. I can't even say it without laughing. He, he sorry,
Collect
sorry.
yourself.
I'm sorry. He like sucks on his fingers and then shoves it like he's gonna finger her. And just the way I when he did it, I was like, okay, all right, like, so it's like she's a young lady. I'm sure she's good to go. You don't need to prep her for entry. Like, but it was.
I was like, "Oh, that's a new one."
I was like,
That's
I was like, what are we doing? What?
was this in the script or did you improvise that?
This shit must have been scripted because they pulled that shot. They're like, you know what? That's that money shot. Come on, suck those fingers, shove them in there.
It's like, "I'll show you a cliffhanger." All right. Well,
But
I never got past the first season of Bridgerton. I really enjoyed the first season because it was obviously new at the time. A lot of people were talking about it. A lot of people were talking about the music. And then we got invested into these characters and to the drama of it all. And then there was like, who was Miss Whistledown? I believe that's the character's name.
yeah, Lady Whistledown.
Um, Whistledown. And then from there, like they revealed who the character was at the end of the first season. And then I was told, and as the story moves on, it's like, "Oh, we're not following these characters anymore. We're following the siblings of this family." And for whatever reason, it felt like I was less interested at that point. It's like, "Oh wait, we're done with this couple. They're good, and we're just moving on to another one. This is like an anthology series." No, I was already invested in this story. And you tell me they're just gonna pop in and be like, "Hey, we're living a fantastic life over here. Now it's your turn for romance."
Yeah,
It's like, I don't want to see this build up all over again and again and again. And again, I'm not the target audience. Ain't for me. If Megan wanted to watch it, then I would watch it with her. However, she also lost interest. So I was like, well, I'm not gonna force it. So we're moving on to somebody else.
yeah. And then Netflix is pulling this part one, part two shit, and
Yeah.
it's like we ended on a cliffhanger. It's actually, I will say, it's not the cliffhanger I thought was going to happen. I kind of saw the season heading into like another direction and
Yeah.
like another aspect of their relationship. I thought was going to be like what it was going to be about, and I was happily to say that I was wrong, because even like this was like, right as he's like prepping his fingers for entry, he's like, he says he says the cliffhanger, and I was like, oh, okay, all right, well, that was pretty good. So that, and she responds accordingly,
Yeah.
and they set up for the next half of the season. I just kind of wish it was like, to me, this is not a show that needs a part one and part two, but I think because the fandom is so large that Netflix has to capitalize, and that's why they put it as a part one, part two.
Well, I think we've talked about this before. Obviously, Stranger Things did things a little bit different because it was like a three-parter. However, I'm not opposed to this because this is still in the time frame of a week to week if you chose it to be that way. Because like, especially on an 8 episode like series, they drop the first 4 episodes, and then you're waiting a month to get the other four. Now, if they drop this week to week, you would have waited the 4 weeks to watch those 4 episodes anyway if they just dropped it week after week. But Netflix is not about that, and so they're just trying to prolong like a just about like a month to a month and a half long time span with this series. And I mean, I think that's the average of any show. Any show nowadays will probably get the people's attention by 2 months and then a little bit lingering afterward once the show is over. Um, but but yeah, I'm not opposed to this method. I think it's fine because it kind of goes in your own pace, where like you don't feel like you're rushed to finish all 8 episodes because you're afraid of spoilers. But you can like get this done in a weekend. It's 4 episodes, okay, then you're waiting for the other four to drop and it'll invest you for the weekend. It also leaves room for people to talk about it like you're doing right now. So like I'm not opposed to this. You got a little bit of a chunk of it. Whereas other shows like and we'll talk about this more whenever you get caught up, but like Fallout, like first season, they dropped all of them at once. And I feel like that wasn't the right move in my opinion, because it was such a good season. This year, or season two, they decided to drop it week after week. Yet they weren't doing themselves any favors because no one was talking about it anyway, which is kind of crazy. I think it came at a really bad time because I didn't really see a lot of people and then really hit the masses as season one did. So after watching all of season two, I'm like, I'll reserve my thoughts for when we both have seen it. But I just find it interesting as far as like a streaming perspective that no one really talked about season two of Fallout. But yet I've already heard little rumblings of people talking about Bridgerton within its 4 episodes. So
That's
I mean,
fair.
it's a more popular show, so the people are definitely gonna be talking about that more than say Fallout.
And I would actually, while we're on the topic, I would bring that same sentiment to how Marvel dropped Wonder Man. Instead of
Yes.
doing week to week, they just kind of like almost very little to no press, and then they just dropped the whole season. Which is when after you watch it, you're like, wow, why did they do that?
Well, honestly, we'll get to it later because we will be talking about Wonder Man in a
Yeah.
in a few minutes here. I was okay with the drop.
Were you okay? All
Yeah,
right.
I was okay with it because of what the nature of the show was. I feel like there were some episodes that I think I would have been a little bit annoyed with if I had to wait a whole nother week if I was watching it week to week instead of just hitting play on the next episode because I didn't feel like that was enough to make me be like, oh man, yeah, I gotta wait a whole nother week. Like there wasn't really a lot of talking points in certain episodes. So I was happy to just move on to the next episode. I think it was a good binge worthy show in my opinion.
Yeah, I could get that. I guess it's because it's a Marvel spotlight, so it's considered like a one shot series.
Correct. Correct. Yeah. But we'll get into more of that a little bit later. But
Uh,
but yes, as far as Bridgerton, it's still holding its popularity. A lot of people are watching it. It's getting a lot of headlines. I don't know how long it's gonna go for. Like, I'm assuming you've seen all the seasons at this point, right?
yeah. So what's this? Season 4, season 5?
Season. This is season 4. It looks like it's already renewed.
For like
uh,
8, for like 8 seasons, because you got to go through each of the siblings.
Yeah, I'm seeing 6 so far on IMDb that it's already renewed for. So
Yeah,
we're
so
not
we're not
we're not
getting.
slowing down on the series by any means. But as an active viewer, do you see yourself like? Granted, you're not the target audience. However, like you're still watching it. So like, is there still we still got gas in the tank here, or we're just blowing
Yeah.
out fumes.
Yeah, no, I mean they've got a lot of story to cover, especially because that each season is a different sibling and kind of them finding their love story. But I guess what's good about it is that while like let's say this season is focused on this brother, you still get like hints of what the others are going through.
Mhm.
They plant like little small seeds for whatever their season's gonna be left over. Like this Colin is the character's name. Like we've gotten 3 seasons of buildup of who he is as a person, so that when you're in his season, I feel like you're more invested because you already have a base idea of who he is as a character.
I
And we're
see.
getting and like even throughout his season, we're getting little inklings of that of his younger siblings because their seasons are still yet to come. So I mean,
Gotcha.
there are it's as far as storytelling and for this massive plan that they've got charted out, following the books. I think it's good. I can see why it holds the attention of so many.
Okay. All right. I guess that's all you can really ask for.
I guess so. But other than Wonder Man, that's all I got.
Okay. I was also watching a few things as well. I know I mentioned Fallout, and I gotta sneeze. Hold on. Wait. No, we're good.
All
Never
right.
mind. All right.
All right.
All right. We did it. Um, yeah, aside from Fallout Season 2, which I did finish, and we'll be talking about that in a future episode once Ernesto gets caught up, because I think it's better if we have a conversation between the two of us about it rather than you hearing my thoughts, and, you get the drill. However, I did watch, a new series on Prime another new series on Prime called Steel, starring Sophie Turner from Game of Thrones fame, and also she's gonna be the new Lara Croft, which I believe that show is happening sometime this year.
Yeah,
Uh
isn't that's gonna be a Prime show, isn't it?
It is gonna be a Prime show. Looked like she made a huge deal with Prime to come out with all their stuff. Um, yeah, it doesn't say when it's coming out. I know just recently they came out with like a promo photo of her in like the
Yeah.
iconic Tomb Raider outfit. So I'm assuming if they put out the outfit, that means that they're probably filming right now. So we're probably looking at a late 2026, early 2027 release on this show. It's also the new show is also going to be starring Oscar Isaac and Weaver, so that's interesting. Um, but anyway, the show that we're talking about now is Steel, which is like a pretty solid suspense mystery thriller.
Mm.
Um, and there was basically a heist or I guess really a robbery, less of a heist. I know they say heist on the poster, but I see it more of a robbery. But there was a robbery that took place in this big like accounting firm where they kind of move money around for hedge funds, and people give them money and then they invest in other places and people's pensions and all that stuff. And so that's the company that she works for. And then all of a sudden, within the first episode, a bunch of people came in to rob them and rob the whole corporation. And so then they were involved. And then I thought we had a really solid pilot episode. Really, really good. Got me hooked into it. Pretty intense. And then, the mystery unfolds shortly after. There's only 6 episodes. And so the first episode gets it going, and then you learn more about the robbery, the people involved, who were involved, who was double crossing people. The FBI, the MI5 is involved, the people who are part of the corporation, part of the organization, the company were also involved. And so you get all those mysteries unfolded. And I feel like we had a really strong start with like a really like wah wah of a finish here, in my opinion. Like
Okay.
I felt like I was waiting for the other shoe to drop to be much smarter than just what I'm seeing on the screen. And then when they're like, ha ha, you're like, oh, yeah, I mean, sure,
I guess.
I guess. It was me all along. And I was like, oh, okay. Yeah, I mean, it wasn't like and then, like, when they made the big reveal, like, who was behind it all, and then, like, they were explaining their things, I couldn't help but be like, as it's happening, I was just like, "That's cool. Mm, okay." Like, "Oh, you're still talking? Okay, that's fine."
How much time does
And
I
I'm
have
just, like,
left?
on my phone, just, like, doing something else, is like, "I don't care anymore." I think it's worth diving into. To me, I only reason why I watched it because all the episodes dropped at once, and it was 6 episodes, and they were like 45 to 50 minutes each.
Mm.
I was like, not too much of an investment, and it looks like we're ending like it was a self-contained like
Mm.
mini series. I would be really surprised if it went any longer than that. I don't. It's not touted as a mini series, but man, if I hear this show get a season two, I'll be like, why?
Why? What are we doing?
What do we do? I think we did everything we wanted to do with this. I don't see anywhere we can move forward. All the loose ends are tied, and we don't have to expand on it. What I did find really clever though is that the title was called Steal, and there was a constant of stealing money. So like almost every episode, it was like this person stealing from this person. I was like, oh, this is a very fitting title to the show. Um, but overall, I thought it was fine. If anyone is looking for a solid mystery suspense thriller, this is it. It's not. It wasn't a horrible watch. It's just not. It wasn't amazing either. But it was a new show that was offered on Prime, and I feel like with certain Prime shows, you get like a hit or miss vibe on it. So this is one of them.
Okay.
And the other thing I watched since we're in the realm of animation, this one's been sitting on my list for a while. A Netflix animated film called In Your Dreams came out right before Thanksgiving. Netflix is pretty known for releasing animated films right around the Thanksgiving time. There was another animated film called Leo, I believe it was. Was it Leo?
Oh yeah, the Adam Sandler one.
Yes, the Adam Sandler one that came out 2023 right around Thanksgiving time. And there was another movie too that Netflix came out with. I believe it was last year, also around Thanksgiving time as well. So this is like pretty much like their family friendly like time that they would drop a whole bunch of stuff. And typically around the holidays Netflix does a huge drop on a lot of films. Like we got like Wake Up Dead Man, Frankenstein, like we getting all those classics, and all those big anticipated movies. Even Train Dreams came out right
True.
before Thanksgiving as well, or was it December? Like right around the holiday time.
It was around the
So
holidays time, yeah.
yeah, they do a big drop. And this one was like another pretty solid movie from Netflix. And it's about this brother, mainly it focuses on the sister. She is a main character here, and she is noticing that her parents are fighting, and it's not looking well. She's afraid that her parents are going to split up, and they're going to be separated and have to move to a different location, and basically their parents are going to get a divorce. And so I guess upon going into a library, they happen upon this book that you can basically summon the Sandman, and in your dreams, like the Sandman will grant you one wish if you can find him. And so she believes that going along this journey, she will find the Sandman and grant the wish that her parents can be together. And that's pretty much the moral of the story here. And then it's a lot about them a lot about like seeing what you have in your dreams, what your dreams are, what dreams can be construed to be, not really the dreams that you kind of want are not exactly what you anticipate, all that stuff in the middle there. It's grounded by good reality, and like these are good. Like, I feel like they did a really good job of like, yeah, this is what kids will be worried about around this age if your parents are about to split. However, there's a lot of good animated fun in it as well. I would definitely classify this as a good fun family, a movie good for the whole family type of vibe. There's enough there where kind of like I would say attempt to pull at your heartstrings because of the relatability of like, you know, parents who have, adults who have children and they go through a divorce, and your kids don't want that. And they want the best, they want things to go back where they used to where everybody was happy.
Mm.
And then but that's not the reality at times. And I think they ended it not much of a quote unquote happy ending, but they ended it in a way where it's like, we're just kind of going to go with the flow with all of this at the end
Mm.
of the day. I thought that was a really good message to be like, just because all these adventures happened around the movie, it doesn't mean that, we're going to have a perfect ending. I thought it was very like realistic. It wasn't a fairy tale ending. It was more of a like, like life moves on. This is life. We're not always going to get what we want, but it is, we do our best.
Yeah, I've this one's been on my list because I'm my kids were watching this movie. They were like watching it the other day, and I was like, I've never like this is on Netflix. Like I had never seen it. They saw it when it came out, apparently, and this
Uh,
completely flew over my radar. But they said, I mean, I've heard nothing but great things. It's good. It's enjoyable. It's like the little sand creatures are funny.
yeah, I think it is funny, and I'm trying to remember who there was. I forgot who played the Sandman in this, but they have somewhat notable characters. Yeah, Craig T. Nelson plays. You kind of see him here. It's a stuffed animal in the poster. His name is Baloney Tony. Um, Simuli is plays the father. Christina Miliani plays the mother.
Mm,
And yeah, those are the more notable characters. Yeah, those are probably like the headliner names on there. But but yeah, I think I think it was again another solid movie from Netflix. And I remember the other one that came out last year. It was called Spellbound
mm.
with Rachel Zegler, and it was a musical from Netflix, and that also came around Thanksgiving time as well. And that was a pretty solid movie too. I think Netflix animation does not get the credit that it deserves. Like they come out with like really like solid original films.
Yeah,
And
K-pop Demon Hunters.
well, that was in partnership with Sony.
Yeah,
So technically it's a Sony animated film that they
that's
partnered with Netflix to distribute.
that's true.
Uh However, like between those three movies that I like, Leo, Spellbound, In Your Dreams, they were all produced by Netflix. And like, yeah, I don't understand why we're not getting like they're not being as recognized as say like when a Pixar or a Disney or even a DreamWorks movie comes out or even Illumination, like they get all the hype around it. I am curious though that if these movies ever hit theaters, if it might get the recognition that maybe it deserves. But like most of the big animated studios are pushing out sequels to already established properties. But Netflix is actually giving out original animated stories. So I don't know. I like that for them. I hope they keep doing it because every time they come out with a movie, it's always interesting.
That's
It's
true.
never it's never not boring.
Yeah,
So
it's refreshing.
I give it is refreshing, yeah. So if you're looking for original animated movies, Netflix is a great place for it. And I want to say they're like, aside from maybe Apple TV, which come out with a couple of animated like shows and movies, no one else really puts money into the anime, especially the streaming services put money into the animation. I guess they put more into the like big studios budgets there. But anyway, a solid movie from Netflix. I definitely recommend giving it a watch. Definitely fun for the whole family type of vibe. Yeah, and now we're gonna be moving on to a show that we have both watched, which is Wonder Man, the new show from Marvel Studios, or in this case, I guess the rebranding of the separation of the division. So this is from Marvel Television. And this is also the second or third project. I think it's the third project to be under the Marvel Spotlight banner.
Hmm.
I think the first one was Werewolf by Night. And I think the second one was Echo. And now the third one is Wonder Man. And I think there's another one coming out. No, that's a special presentation. So that's not it. But yeah, this is the Marvel Spotlight banner is where they kind of trying to highlight a singular story that's not really connected to the other parts of the MCU, which I would argue that since Trevor Slattery, played by Ben Kingsley, is in it. You technically would need to know a little bit about his character in order to like really dive into it. However, it's not necessary viewing
Yeah, I-
to understand where his character came from.
yeah.
But
I
other
would.
than that, this definitely stands alone as its own thing.
Yeah, no, I would say 100%. It just stands alone, only because, like, yeah, Trevor Slattery is from other projects, but so was the Damage Control Agent. He's been in like a few other Marvel projects, but like you
Yes.
don't need to know anything about him because we actually spend time in this show, kind of not fully going over his backstory, but we get enough highlights that you understand like who he is and how he got there. But to me, it
Mhm.
was a perfect setup to make you want to go back and rewatch Iron Man 3. Like it's funny because like when Iron Man 3 came out, everybody looked at Trevor Slattery as like, there's the most useless character in the MCU. And now he's been in two other projects where he's been able to like redeem his character a little bit. And I felt like in Wonder Man is like where that fully became realized, almost like the end of his arc from Iron Man 3. So much so that I think somebody was, I saw online that, in the show, he talks about being, I forgot how many years sober. And it's like the exact time between Iron Man 3 and this project.
Mm.
So it's
I
like right after those events, he went sober, and then he's been sober ever since.
Well, he was also in jail and then got captured again, so probably other events maybe drove him to, and the resources were no longer there. However, nonetheless, he was sober, or he is sober. I and to your exact point before we start diving into the show itself, I this is one of the things I love about Marvel is that we've have now this long history with these characters from 2008 to now in 2026. We're almost now, if you think about it, we're 18 years deep on the Marvel Cinematic Universe, and they've grown so much and had different iterations. Now, obviously, expanding into Marvel Television and stuff like that. But specifically with Trevor Slattery, to your point, here's this character that was meant to be the Mandarin, and then kind of was a joke by the end of Iron Man 3. And a lot of people hated the switch in Iron Man 3 back in 2013. Like they despised that turn. And they kind of, gave Iron Man 3 a lot of shit for doing that. It was a bold move on their part to do that. But then give it time and they have the ability to kind of retcon a few things. Let's fast forward all the way to Shang-Chi and the Legend of the Ten Rings. Not only do they give us the real Mandarin, but then they give us back Trevor Slattery in this very comedic role that I never thought was not even on my radar. It's like to me this character was done. We never had to bring him again. But this is where creativity comes into play, where we can expand on a character that was either, and for Shang-Chi's sake, for Sun nope, for Shang-Chi's sake, it was a character that they brought back for comedic relief and also just a tie-in back to Iron Man 3. But for Wonder Man, they kind of redeemed him in a way that he was a character that was alone and sad, and I don't wanna say misunderstood, but they took his approach and gave him a platform in this show that was not really, no one was ever wanting or was like calling out for this character to be kind of showcased like this. However, I'm so glad that we got that because it was such a great experience to, and it made really well case for his character. So the fact that they wanted to like bring in the story following an actor, but then you already kind of have an actor already in the MCU, it just fell very nicely into place. And like, yeah, and this is Destin Daniel Cretton's, like, he was the creator and one of the executive producers, and I think he directed the first 2 episodes
Hmm.
of Wonder Man, and this was part of his long-standing project that he had with Marvel. So he did Shang-Chi, then he made a multi-year deal with Marvel, and now you're seeing that come to fruition with the Wonder Man series. And then he was slated to direct Avengers Kang Dynasty, but then after they made the switch, they moved him over to Spider-Man Brand New Day, which we'll be seeing that film later this summer. And then there's also, he's still committed to making Shang-Chi too. So hopefully that may or may not be his next project after he's wrapping up with Spider-Man. But just by him alone, and we were already making his praises when we saw Just Mercy with Michael B. Jordan a few years back, and that was an
Hmm.
amazing movie. Him moving into the Marvel Cinematic Universe, everything he's touched so far has been amazing.
Absolutely, absolutely. And I think this was just so refreshing because, like, you know, everybody's been feeling the Marvel fatigue, and like even with the rebranding, Fan- Fantastic Four didn't fall flat, but it just, I felt like we wanted more of a redirect and less of like a. It seems like they just kind of changed a few things. You know what I mean? Like it didn't seem,
Yeah.
it wasn't as much as a redirect. Whereas this was like, well, this is what Marvel should be doing. Like these singular stories that just echo within the Marvel universe. And and even still, they were still able to do so much world building within this series. I mean, we get a whole episode dedicated to this B side character that we never would have heard from before, who happens to be a mutant. So it's also a way to kind of like backdoor introduce, what's what eventually be. I guess the next thing they're going to plan to do is the X-Men saga. So this
Mhm.
is like a way to kind of plant seeds for that, because Doorman apparently is a mutant, and how he can go through doors is he opens dimensions through his body, and he becomes
Yeah.
Doorman. But like they turned this his character and it into like, it became like this side plot in the middle of the series. We get this side episode that's like all Doorman, but it does tie into the Wonder Man. But they found a way for it to tie into the Wonder Man story as to why he didn't want to reveal himself. So it made sense in the series for us to get this like backdoor pilot of this character.
Yeah, but, on top of that, what's great about this show and, where I feel like it stands out above the rest of a lot of Marvel shows, it's that it took risks on stories that otherwise, this was not trying to make big waves into the MCU, and they focused more on story and character rather than world building. But in the process of that, that's what we got as well. Like, we got a little bit of world building, but we're really focusing on these 2 individuals trying to make it in Hollywood. And I feel like it was a kind of them putting a microscope and also putting a microscope on themselves as well. Like, it's like the Hollywood nature of making a big budget superhero movie. It's in a way they're kind of making fun of themselves in some aspects, and then but also focusing less about the superhero aspect of it. Because if you think about it, this was the less like this was like the least amount of superhero character in a superhero TV show. Like, it was not about like the flashiness of his powers. Like, they wrote it in where he needs to suppress his superpowers, but it was also a like a metaphor for the anxiety that he was having as an actor. And so when his powers came out, it was him like kind of, I wouldn't say expressing himself, but him like all that anxiety that's been building up is just being unleashed. And that's him like using the powers. So in that case, they they were probably this show is probably didn't cost them as much because they didn't have a big visual effects budget on making his powers come to life. Instead, we were able to focus on the character of focusing on him trying to be an actor in Hollywood. Then and it just also happened to be a superhero who cannot express his superpowers because of this clause that was kind of like, not really talked about. It was like a throwaway line. It's like, "Oh, yeah, the doorman clause. We can't superheroes can't be actors." And to me, I was like, "Okay, that's yeah, sure. That's a thing that's happened." But the fact that they later and, like, literally halfway through the season decided to give us a whole episode explaining why, I think that just showcases kind of like the I wouldn't say downfalls, but, like, a cautionary tale of being an actor in Hollywood. Granted, it was surrounded by a superhero or like a mutant, so to speak, of a powered individual who kind of fell into that life. But I think it also showcases how easy it can be to fall into the trap of Hollywood because in the beginning of that episode, he was like, I'm happy being a doorman. Like, I'm perfectly fine doing this exact job because this is what makes me happy. And then you just kinda get caught up in the fame and the fortune of it all, and then you get into greed, and then you start, having to pander to your followers and all of that stuff, and I thought it was a great, like, 30-minute episode of, like, the ups, like, the kind of the wave of what Hollywood can be, and if you're just using the same stick, you're like, "Here's your 15 minutes of fame," and now you're doing other things, and now now it's political, now you're big controversy, and then other things happen, and how quickly people can go for you and then against you almost on a dime. And that is Hollywood if you don't keep up with it. It can eat you alive. But yet here in this whole retrospect of the show, you have this character who is searching for that. But like kind of going after that fame, what basically every actor wants in Hollywood to be the next star. But here are the anxieties that he's going through, but yet he's doing it for the love of the game on top of that. I think overall this show showcased a lot of like what it means or what the sacrifices are have to be done to be an actor in Hollywood and the different avenues that you can go about it. And the fact that that was the forefront and not once do we really care about his superpowers or what the implications are, that's secondary to the story.
That's so true. I mean, to me, Wonder Man is one of the best things that they've put out to date. Like, I think it's so good. I mean, I even love the dynamic with his family. Like, there's that shot where they're singing "Happy Birthday" to his mom, and everybody's happy, and you see him just standing there, and like the camera like starts wide and then slowly kind of pushes into him, showing that like I don't know, it really like showcased his sadness and just like how trapped you could tell how trapped he was in his own body. And even when his mom is talking to Trevor and she was telling him, that he told her, thank you, mommy, for loving me. It's like so it just
Mhm.
gives you an insight to how he felt as a person, feeling like, you know, that that he was completely different from other people and like he was burdened with this secret of him being a superpowered individual and not being able to express this side of him. So I loved how human the story is, even though it's about this guy with superpowers like trying to get a job acting.
Yeah, and I also really love going back to how human the story was that here's this kid who was inspired by going to the movies.
Yeah.
Like, to me, that just hit home of, like, he wanted to be an actor, and then also we got a little bit more context of that story later on in the season where we saw that, he was being bullied at school, and his dad decided to take him out of school that day, kinda play hooky, and he's like, "Oh, that one of my favorite movies are showing at this local art house theater. Let's go watch it," and that day was the day that he's watching this old movie and just gets inspired by the world of film. And then it was his dad who was like, "You know what? I saw you in your play, whenever the school play was." And he's like, "You have the it factor." And then you fast forward to all of this, you see that at the end of the day, he was doing all this for his father. And it just, you can't help but to be a little emotional about that. Even to the point when he actually gets the role of Wonder Man and they're going through the steps of like him picking out the suit and getting the right glasses. The glasses wasn't because he was being an asshole. Uh, which I do feel like this character was a little bit of an asshole for a good majority. Like I feel like I think he felt like he was owed something that he never deserved.
Mm.
And I think over the course of the season, you see him learning how to be a better human and maybe appreciate and like just let go of a few things. Not everything has to be, you know, like this over thought about thing. And that was with his friendship with Trevor Slattery, who is a very nonchalant, go with the flow type of person. It's like things will work out. You don't have to overanalyze everything. Not everything has to be scripted into the book. Like there's a lot of room for improvisation, not only in the acting world, but also in life. And even they made a comment. It's like, how about you ask people how your day was and like how they're doing? It's like that shit works. Like, yeah, if you show a little bit of compassion to other people, they're willing to do favors for you, or at least it shows that you care. And I think that the dynamic between the two characters oddly really worked.
Yeah.
Like, I was not expecting that to be the thing that I come out with the most, but the fact that, like, here are these 2 unlikely people kind of working together in the midst of then now Trevor Slattery trying to kinda be this other undercover man for the Department of Damage Control because they have suspicions that he is um a huge threat as a superpowered individual. And I think they just kind of showcase of like, yeah, this character could be something huge, and we see him kind of get a little bit more control of his powers by the end of the season. And there's a lot of I saw a lot of articles and a lot of videos online just showcasing like what does that mean for the bigger part of the MCU. And in my head, it's like, I don't think it matters. It doesn't matter at all. I don't think that's what the story was about at all. Like, what does his powers mean? What's his capabilities? What can he do? And I was like, I don't care what his powers can do. Because I don't think that's what the story was about. The story was about here's his friendship and them kind of working together to kind of beat Hollywood in a way.
Yeah.
In their kind of own ridiculous way. Like he was also a go-getter too, because he got himself the interview. Um not the interview. He got himself the audition
Yeah.
by, probably doing things illegally, but he still got there nonetheless, and then ended up getting the role for it. And what's also funny was that the series kind of showcases that he's a really good actor, but the only person that was getting in his way was himself.
Hmm.
And I think that was like kind of showing, like you kind of see him bring down his shell a little bit um throughout the season. And for me personally, like I thought they every superhero show, especially when they're introducing a character, they have like this really cool costume to reveal of like, okay, now this person's in its full costume. I think we got that with WandaVision by the end of the season. You see her in full costume, like the costume she was meant to be in. Same thing with Falcon and Winter Soldier. We saw that with Loki, where he's kind of like, here is my costume reveal. Like this is like my true state of like my superpowered being is as a superhero. And like part of the costume is the allure of all of this as well. And I thought at the very end when they gave him the glasses and he turns around and you see the wide shot of him in full costume, to me it felt such a different way of getting that reveal in the show, because not he's not a superpowered person ready to fight crime. He is now in his full version of the suit that makes him feel happy in the terms of being an actor on this movie set. And I feel like that was a great um different perspective on a costume reveal than we've had in the previous Marvel shows. And I found that really, like, enjoyable to kinda watch that unfold, and it made complete sense watching it in the terms of, these 8 episodes and what story they were trying to tell.
Yeah, I mean, I also thought, I mean, because it was interesting because then we do get that reveal, and but then at the end, you kind of get to see him like use it and kind of be himself, where we think he's prepping for a role, but really he's just trying to sneak into the prison so he can break out Trevor. And it like once we got in, I was like, oh okay, one that's what he's doing. He's gonna break out Trevor, and then you see him and Trevor just kind of fly away, and then we get the
Yeah.
note that Wonder Man will return in Doomsday, which I think is going to be interesting to see.
Did they? They never said that.
Are you sure?
I'm pretty sure no way they said that at the end of the show.
Are you sure?
I'm like 90% sure that was not a
Maybe
tag.
maybe I
You made that up in a
maybe I made
I
it up.
put that up. Yeah.
Yeah, it's just I guess maybe it's just a rumor I read online.
Yeah, I don't think this character needs to be in Doomsday. It makes no sense for him to be there.
Yeah,
But
there's a lot of reports online that say he is and that, but it could just be a rumor. It's not confirmed, but it would be cool if he did return.
yeah, I mean, sure. I do think as far as like the bigger implications of the MCU, this was like the first show that felt like it didn't warrant like, oh man, when is he gonna show up? I think Marvel has told us like these TV shows don't always have to be connected. And I think that's what we were led to believe in the beginning of the run. Like when we were getting WandaVision and we were getting Miss Marvel and like those, and then like specifically with WandaVision, that show ended up becoming a big major plot point in Doctor Strange: The Multiverse of Madness. And then Miss Marvel, that character in that show became major implications to go into the Marvels, as well as WandaVision, as well. And so, but I feel like moving forward, we're not going to get that. And I think it's going to be a mystery on when some of these characters that were introduced in television, specifically like Moon Knight and She-Hulk. Like here are characters that were introduced in television that started with their show and not from a movie first. And we've heard nothing from those characters ever again. And I wouldn't be surprised if we don't see those characters in, other people believe it's going to be Doomsday and Secret Wars, and I don't believe that at all. I think they're just going to be where they are for now. And if there was any person to pop up anywhere, I think Wonder Man and She Hulk, uh, because they were surrounded in Hollywood and kind of real world things, they might come together at some point. I know there is a lot of rumors, but yet nothing confirmed that Moon Knight is just going to be saved for a Midnight Suns either television show or movie, and that makes a lot of sense depending on what they do. But this is probably a project coming after Secret Wars. Hopefully we can get Mahershala's Blade because that movie is not happening anymore. So maybe that character can be introduced in Midnight Suns. I don't know if they're ever going to bring back Ghost Rider, but that would be really cool in the implications of everything. And so, like, they have a lot to play with in the future. Obviously, we're going to be focusing on the mutants and the X Men saga in future movies after Secret Wars. But like, if this is all we get from like Wonder Man, I'm happy with this. This was a great standalone story within the MCU, and I don't think it needs to be anything more than what it is. However, I would love to see a season two. I think a season two would be great to continue the story moving forward. I think this show it can live on its own, created by Marvel. I don't think it has to tie into anything really, because I think Marvel has shown us from time and time again that these shows are not are not important to the big MCU. So I'm going to stop thinking that way.
Yeah, I guess that's a good point.
Because I would love to see Daredevil interact with other aspects of the superheroes, but clearly they're not doing that. I don't even know if the Punisher is going to be in season two of Daredevil Born Again because he's already getting his special, and he's also going to be in Spider-Man Brand New Day. So, like, I don't see him popping up in Daredevil Born Again. I don't even see Daredevil or Kingpin popping up in Spider-Man, even though it would be really cool. It'll make a lot of sense, but nah, fuck it. No, we're gonna stay doing our own thing. So I don't know. I think there's like I stopped putting in hope that things are being connected, and I'm just taking things as they are as they come to me. Until you tell me that these things are going to be connected, I'm not. I'm going to stop thinking that they
Yeah, that's fair. That makes sense.
are. But wrapping up as far as Wonder Man as a whole, I think it's one of the best series they come out with in years.
Yeah.
As far as a Marvel television show. Like I love Loki. I really like WandaVision. And I'm hoping that Daredevil season 2 is a little bit better than Daredevil season 1. They had their problems behind the scenes, but
Hmm.
we'll see what they ended up doing with Daredevil. And this is the only other live action. No, they're Daredevil Born Again season 2, and then we're getting Vision Quest sometime by the end of the year as far as live action Marvel shows are concerned. But even Vision Quest is another one. They're going off of the WandaVision, Agatha All Along, Vision Quest trilogy of shows, and those are all connected, but they're not huge implications to the bigger MCU, even though it can be, but it doesn't look like they are. Um, but yeah, I thought Wonder Man was a fantastic show that I think this show in particular knew exactly what it wanted to be and did not try to be anything more than just a here's we're going to follow these two characters within the MCU and kind of go along their journey of being, trying to make it out in Hollywood. And I think that was a great story that they told.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely.
Um, But yeah, all right. So moving on from Wonder Man, and I believe that's everything that we've been watching.
Yes.
So now we're going to be diving into our Oscars conversations. And first, we're going to be diving into the animated short films. And as Ernesto listed earlier, there's 5 nominated shorts: Butterfly, Forever Green, The Girl Who Cried Pearls, Retirement Plan, and The Three Sisters. We're going to briefly talk about each one of these, and we're going to first start with Butterfly, or as the original title is, Papillon. I believe that's how you say it. I have no
It
idea.
is. It is.
Okay. But Ernesto, your thoughts on this animated short?
I liked it. I thought it was. I mean, it's very. I guess liked it is a strong term. It did. I did like the animation. It's got like this watercolor, which made sense to the story because it's about
Yeah.
swimming. Um, but it's obviously very sad with a lot of showing a lot of discrimination against the Israel swimmers, and just kind of going through that journey.
Yeah, it's as the bio reads, it says, "In the sea, a man swims. As he does, memories come to the surface from his early childhood and his life as a man, to his life as a man. All the memories are linked to water." I think that was a good, like, this man loves swimming, but it comes with the good and bad throughout
Hmm.
his life. There's also a really sad moment where, like, because of the war that was happening, he ended up losing his children, and I don't, and his wife, and I don't think they ever found them again.
Yeah.
And then he ended up remarrying and trying to find happiness again. But as much as there are horror stories that's linked to him, like he he's always found either peace with swimming, and I think that's something like, there's something sweet about that, but also very sad about that as well. And I think the short is showcasing that. But I think this feels like it's his last swim because he is an old man. And so like I think he's kind of going through all the steps of his life, and it appears that his family is kind of waiting for him when he's done making his final swim. I'm not entirely sure, but you can tell this man has lived a life, and the water has been a part of it. But I think the story was pretty emotional, and the animation was fitting. It's hard to say like, yeah, the animation's good, and then in my head's like, yeah, no shit, that's why they're nominated for best animated feature. So it's hard for me to talk specifically about the animation and be like, yeah, it's just good
Yeah.
because that's a given. Yes, yes, the animation is good, we know that. So, I feel like I'm more focusing on what the story was rather than the, achievements of, animation, because I feel like
Yeah.
that's
But I think some of them it's like the animation is so distinct that it's worth like not like obviously not picking apart because I'm not an animator, but as
right.
far as like, oh well, like this one was like this watercolor, which it makes sense because it ties to the actual story itself.
Yeah. But this one I can definitely see why it was nominated. It's a very emotional
Yeah,
story. It ties into, um, a lot of stuff that's happened in real world events, and, yeah, I think this is a very, like, worthy to be nominated for best animated short.
yeah, I agree. I agree.
Um, Another one oh, we're moving. Okay, Three Sisters. It follows three sisters living in an isolated island must rent out one of their homes.
Oh, I think I
Uh,
did this. I did this one in the wrong order. I'm sorry.
yes, you did. Yeah, it threw me off, but it's okay. We're already here. Um, yeah, this one was weird.
It was weird, but I thought this one was funny. 'Cause
What?
you had yeah,
No.
you had these three sisters. They're on this island which has what is it, three houses or four? No, it had three houses
Three
because
houses. Yeah,
then
three sisters, three houses.
people would come and they had their money and one of them was dumb and dropped their money into the water. So then they put up one of the houses for sale, and then two of them are living together, and then this guy comes and rents the room, and then proceeds to start like this harem with all these women, like. It's like one by one, they all, and then he does his like, like his little laugh thing. But I don't know, it was weird. Like they're trapped on this island, and then they all take their time to try to please him, and then he just runs through them one by one until he's done with them, and then he leaves.
What's the point of this? And that's where I get with this. It's like, okay, like, what are we really nominating this for? Because at the end of the day, I watching this. It's like, what did you see that I missed? Because one, you can, yes, touted for being create creatively animated, different ways. It's not like, it's not polished. It's just there. I don't know. I feel like it needs to be both. It needs to have a message or have a story involved, because I don't know what you said at the end of this. It's like here's just three sisters who have money somehow. I don't know how they make money, but they have money, and they don't grow anything. So I don't understand where they got their money from. And then they drop it in the ocean, and it's like, well, I guess we lost all of our money because we take all of our money out to go buy groceries that gets come over by a ship. And then we dropped it all. So then we have to have a house for rent. And guess what? Somebody in the, the middle, like, oh yeah, a house for rent. I can live here. I'm a seaman. I can, this would be great for me to rent a house here. And then every woman, all the three sisters are infatuated with this man. And then they all want to be with him or just sleep with him. I really don't know.
Maybe both.
Uh,
I
Maybe
think they
both.
wanted to be with them, but he just wanted to pass time. I think
Yeah,
is what
yes,
that
I
was.
don't
I
disagree with
mean,
that. And they have parties, and then he has money, and then so then now they're just using him to get things, and then he goes fishing, and then part of the fishing, he gets the money back, and then I forgot exactly what happened of how he left.
I think he just got up and left. Like after the party, like they woke up
He
and he
he
was
took
just
one of the
gone.
sisters though, and then they came back.
Did they see? I don't remember that part. I thought he left, and then this other guy came. These other three men came, so that one could be with each sister.
Oh, I don't remember that part at all. And that's the problem. That's the problem with
That's what I'm
this.
talking
Doesn't
about.
make any fucking sense. That's None of the story makes sense. By the end of the story, and it's not that long, it's like 13 minutes long, it just ended. And
It
like, I
did.
don't get the point of this. And I feel like there's always one short a year that I was just like, what the fuck is going on? Like, I don't get this at all. And it frustrates me.
Yeah, there was one. I think there was one year where it was like a climate change one, and it was like
Yes.
falling from the snow, and the snow was melting, but the person was like falling to their death because they lived up at the top or something like that. Yeah, I get that.
Wasn't there also another one where like there was like an exploding sailor and then a bomb went off and then he
Oh
was just
yes,
flying naked in the air?
yes, yes. He was like exploring like the stages of death or something like that, like everything that
Yeah.
happened right before his whole life flashing before his life before he died
Yeah.
or something like that. Yeah, yeah, that one was
Yeah,
cool.
it was weird, but I got the message. You know what I mean? It
I
was
guess
like
that's
it
fair.
was strange, but I got it. This one, it just it didn't it didn't say anything. I wasn't really impressed by the animation. I just sit here and be like, why? Why did we nominate this? I don't quite understand. But whatever,
All right. Well, let's
whatever.
move on to the probably the prettiest one out of all of them. Like to me, if we're now talking about Forever Green, the other animated short. This like computer animated thing, kind of giving us like a forest fires and friendship story. I thought it was cool. I really enjoyed it. This one had a message, and I felt like the animation was just so beautiful.
Yeah, I feel like if there was the most polished animated short, it was this one.
Yeah.
Like, and polish is a very probably not the right word, but it was
No, I
definitely the more kid friendly, uh, with a very heartfelt message surrounded it. And it follows an orphan bear cub finds a home with a fatherly evergreen tree until his hunger for trash leads him to danger. And I think it just showcases a little bit of, finding a home in unlikely places. Your intentions might get the best of you, greed might get the best of you. Like, and it's just normal standard life. You realize you made a mistake, but those mistakes can come back and haunt you in life. And then within this, story, and again, it's kind of a heartbreaking story because you have this tree who's willing to do anything to save this cub, and then ends up sacrificing himself, just to save him from the fire that he technically started for looking for trash, even though he was getting the nutrients that he needed from the acorns that the tree was producing, and other, there are factors at play. But in this case, he wanted basically junk food, and then led to a fire. The tree ended up saving him, but also sacrificing himself to save the bear. And then there was a little bit of, acorn left that he was able to kind of grow. And then I guess that's you kind of learning from your mistakes and kind of letting, learning from your past, but then let your future grow in a way. That's how kind of I took it.
yeah.
And then he ended up developing his family and be a better bear, I guess. And the tree came back. I'm not sure if it's the same tree, but I'm sure whatever. You make a new family, I guess. And it was very sweet. It was a very sweet story at the end of the day. And yeah, the animation looked gorgeous. It was very different. The score and the song, spot on.
Yeah.
I thought it was like a really cool, like country woodsy vibe in it. I love this from start to finish. I thought this was a great animated short.
Yeah, this one was definitely my favorite out of the five.
Yeah, well, there might be one that might stand out a little bit more, but it's less about the animation and more about the story.
Go ahead. Well,
Uh,
we can talk about that one now because I already know which one
yeah.
you're talking about.
Yeah, the next animated short is The Girl Who Cried Pearls. It follows in Montreal at the dawn of the 20th century. A poor boy falls in love with a girl whose sorrow turns into pearls. He sells them to a ruthless pawnbroker who hungers for more. Tempered by greed, the boy must choose between love and fortune. The choice could damn his soul. I thought this was a great animated short.
Yeah, it had a really good story. It's just when they do these dolls, these like stop motion dolls,
Claymation,
these
yeah.
claymation, whatever it is. I don't know. It's very off putting to me. So I get more. So when I see these type, I get lost in the animation more than I get captivated into the story. The story was cool. I mean, I actually thought, you know, it had a good story and it had a twist, and instead of it just being random like the Three Sisters.
Yes. Yeah, that was very random. But what I really loved about this, because you follow this, you see this little girl kind of rummaging through an office, and then there's this kind of old man. It's like, oh, this is his granddaughter, and he's like, oh, there's a lot of priceless stuff in here, but this is the one that I cherish the most. And he shows her a pearl, and then it goes into the story that he's explaining of the girl who cried pearls, and like the decisions that he makes, because he's also an orphan, and he was kind of living alone in the cold, getting scraps, and then he finds a way to make money off of someone's desperation, basically. And then like as the synopsis kind of read, he takes one of those pearls, gets it to a pawnbroker who sees the potential of this and was like, "Oh my god, this is amazing. We need more of this, and you can get more money off of this." But in order for her to do that, here's this little girl that needs to be, has to cry in order to do that. So what's worth it at the end of the day? And then he ends up finding love from a distance, I guess, with that. Because I don't think they ever really have a conversation between the girl and the boy. But he's infatuated with her nonetheless. And then the twist of the story, which I found really, really like amazing, was that the pearls were not real, and they were
Mhm.
plastic, and he was kind of swindling the pawnbroker and kind of convincing him that it was something that it wasn't. And then at the very end, there the granddaughter at the end of the story asked if the girl was real, and did she really cry pearls. And then it cuts to the grandfather, who kind of gives like a blank stare, and then it just cuts to black, and it's like, so the story itself is potentially a lie. Because we realized the pearls that he was kind of selling off to the pawnbroker were just plastic pearls that he found, and something that was foreign, well, assumingly, to the area that they were in Montreal. Um, so this he kind of swindled the pawnbroker for all this money and then left, and that's what, assuming what the story is, and this girl never existed. But I also think it's a, and this is just me speculating here, the girl who cried pearls was a play on the boy who cried wolf.
Yeah.
Whereas, like, you were just basically just lying until it catch up to you. But in this case, it caught up to him, and he was able to make his fortune and a better future for himself for kind of preying on the greed of others, and the implication that the story of the girl never existed. But the fact that the story that we were told never revealed that information, I thought that was really clever.
Yeah, it was good. Yeah, I kind of got, as you were explaining it, I was like, oh yeah, it is kind of like the boy who cried wolf. But I like this one just because the animation, it had a good story and the animation was different.
Yes, it really was, and I think I was kind of, to me, I was enthralled with the story that was there, and it was, yeah, I don't disagree. This animation's kind of a little bit off-putting, but I think that's the point in some degree.
Yeah.
But then when we start getting like, oh wait a minute, there's a twist here, and that's when it got my attention. I was like, oh damn, this guy knows a thing or two. And yeah, I really appreciated it by the end of it. Almost makes me want to go back and rewatch it to kind of see if there were other tells in the beginning of the story that we kind of missed. And was also sweet at the end of the day was that this guy kept, this grandfather, as an old man, he kept the pearl to remind him of, that time that he in his past. So that was really cool as well. And also just telling the story, and also in the sense of like the old man is like, it's not about it's always about the story that you're told. Like, you believed it. So it doesn't matter if it's real or not. It's the story that you're telling, and I think that's also maybe a little bit of a message there as well. I'm not sure, but either way, I really enjoyed this short for what it was. I think this 100% definitely deserves to be nominated for best animated short.
Yeah, I can see why it's nominated. See, and then,
Um, Go ahead.
well, I was just gonna say, and finally, we, as our last animated short, we have Retirement Plan, which this one was kind of, I don't know if happy is the word I would use for it. More like it's just, I don't like, I almost want to say like whimsical. Like, I don't know. It's just, It's very like reflective. I guess that's a better word.
Yeah, and it's also Domhnall Gleeson, who is from Harry Potter and
Hmm.
Star Wars, and just recently The Paper, and who's the voice of this character. I believe just recently in a Taylor Swift music video. And yeah, I thought this was a really kind of good introspective of a out of animated short. The animations, very kind of hand drawn animation, very simplistic. But I think the story that they were trying to tell, I think it's relatable. It's like here's time passing, and now you're retired, and here's all those things that you wanted to do because now it feels like you have the time for it, and it's just like I don't know. I feel like in a way it was hopeful, but also sad because like as an old man, you get to do all the things you want to do, but these are things you wish you could have done when you were younger, I guess.
Yeah, I kind of felt the same way, almost like waiting, like you've been waiting to live your whole life, but now like you're at the end of your life and you can't, what if you're not able to do some of the things that you've been waiting to do?
Right. And I thought it was like in some cases it was very relatable in the sense of he was like, "Oh yeah, I finally get to clear out my uh like my mailbox, like clear out my emails. So
Yeah.
now my desktop is now clean
Oh,
and I get to finally play all those video games that I hadn't played in years."
yeah, that one got me.
And yeah. And it's like, he probably whipping out old consoles and like a stack of games. And like you can tell that he's like, this is like a gamer, like and like anybody else. But time just gets the best of you. You make the time for the things that are more important to you, obviously, but there are things that you want to do as well that makes you happy and you can. And then also I think the short kind of, reflected on like things that you were always interested in or things that, you've always wanted to try. It's like, I tried this. I found appreciation for that. I was always wanting to do this, and now I have the time to do it. And then eventually, you die. And that's where the sad part comes in. It's like, you're now able to do all those things, but then, like, what does it amount to at the end of the day? Because you're kind of at the end of your life here. So kind of a sad, but also in a way hopeful. Like it was a light animated short. It wasn't like heavy in that way, but it was just kind of trying to maybe in a way, it was finding peace in old age. Like
Yeah,
like, as you get older, just do the things you've always wanted to do before it's, your time runs out.
I actually think that's a really good way to look at it.
Otherwise, you'll never get to do the things you do because you're dead,
Because you're gonna die.
because you're going to die. But yeah, as we kind of do an overview of all the animated shorts, I guess at this point, which one was your favorite, and which one do you think might be pulling above the rest, given your knowledge of all the other animated shorts and the Oscars, and like, which one do you think might take the W here?
I think. Well, are we doing predictions now? Or are we holding on to them?
I guess we can hold on to predictions, but I guess which ones was your favorite?
Forever Green.
Forever Green. I to me, I think it's a little bit between Forever Green and The Girl Who Cried Pearls. I think they were both really well made and had a beautiful story to tell. Nothing against the other one, except for Three Sisters. I don't know why that's there. I think to me that's the only one that I just couldn't see why it was there in the first place.
Well,
Um,
we need a random one in there.
no, we don't. We don't.
We
There are
actually don't.
other I'm sure there were other animated films that were nominated or other animated shorts that were nominated that could have very much easily took that third that fifth slot. But yeah, that one in particular, I just didn't see it, and it frustrates me because I feel like there could have been others out there that just deserved it more. But I don't know exactly what I'm comparing them to, so here we are.
Okay.
But however, I did enjoy Forever Green and The Girl Who Cried Pearls. Those are for me the standouts in this animated short film category. When we get into our predictions episode, we'll see exactly where the Oscars might land on this and what other people are saying. But as far as uh, um, our opinion, and it typically also favors because in years past, the most polished animated short typically is the one that gets the win,
Yeah.
but that's not always the case. But as far as that concerned, Forever Green is definitely the one that's more digestible to most audiences.
Yeah, yeah. That's where I kind of see it as, because it reminds me of like there was like this war one
Yes.
a couple years ago that was it wasn't even necessarily the best one. I remember distinctively liking another one, but I felt like that one won just because it was the most polished.
Yeah. And it's interesting to see, like, if that is the pattern that the Oscars take. Like, we're nominating you for creative animation, but we're just gonna go with the ones that's more highly produced.
Which one's the prettiest?
Yeah, exactly. But yeah, I think it's a solid nominees this year for animated short.
I
I don't think
agree,
I didn't hate most of them.
except for Three Sisters.
Just for Steve Sisters, I will die on that hill. That was not a good short.
Okay.
I don't get it. That could be on me, but also I don't think it is.
All right. Well, on that note, let's move on to the animated features. So, ones that we've previously discussed are Elio, K-pop Demon Hunters, and Zootopia 3.
True.
Elio, I felt like was, and we talked about it when we reviewed it, but it kind of reminded me of like Elemental, where it kind of snuck in under the radar. It didn't get
Yeah.
really hit reviews, but then I think over time, as people sat with the movie, it started to get the recognition it deserved. Because I think it's a fantastic movie. I mean, you talked about it watching. Didn't you watch it on the plane and it made you cry for the second
Yeah, I
time?
mean, I watched it for the second time on the plane. Yeah, and you're literally just like sobbing. You're like, "Fuck, man! Why did I do this to myself? I shouldn't have watched it on the plane again, dumbass." Now you got people watching. You're like, "What the fuck's this guy's problem?" Um, but yeah, no, I love this movie. I'm very happy that it got nominated for animated feature film. It's a beautiful story, and yeah, it's one of those where like, yeah, it's not the most well known Pixar movie, and it's not the um not the one that's gonna get all the headlines, but it was very favorably reviewed by both, I believe, both critics and audiences, but just not a lot of people went to go see it. So it's considered as a box office bomb, which is unfortunate. And then no one's really gonna talk about it. But Pixar does what they do best, and they give out emotional stories. And this is a little bit unconventional, I would say, but there was a lot of heart in there nonetheless. And I think it did a great job in giving us a nice animated film that's also original. It's an original story.
Mm.
There's only one sequel here. I think that's also telling on some of the other movies we got this year. But
Yeah, very true. Very true.
I but yeah, I thoroughly enjoyed this movie. I'm very happy to see it nominated. The other one that I can understand why it's nominated, but I don't really see overly huge appeals over is another movie we talked about in a previous episode is Utopia 2. I thought the to me, it's the same as Zootopia 1. Like, I don't think it did anything as groundbreaking as the first movie did, and I loved the first movie. I thought it was a great movie, and I believe it won for best animated feature for the year that it came out. But at the end of the day, I don't feel like it made the same strides that the first movie did, and it played it safe and gave us a very similar story. An entertaining one nonetheless, don't get me wrong, I did like Zootopia 2, but it's hard for me to really give it its flowers when it ties very similarly to the first movie.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, they did some good world building, but I think the rewatchability of this movie is what's helping its case. And I mean, when it came out, it was like a bomb went off. Like it just blew up.
Yeah.
It just blew up in the theaters, making over $1 billion. So it is kind of hard for them to not recognize Utopia 2 when it made such an achievement coming out right at the end of the year.
Yeah, very true. And also to your point, like there's no denying its box office success here.
Yeah.
With a budget of $150 million, the movie as it stands today has made $1.8 billion.
Yeah, so it's like why
So
why
like,
wouldn't it be why wouldn't it be nominated? But it's like,
yeah,
but then are you nominating it for the animation, for the story, or for the box office achievement? So is it its ability to draw this massive crowd to the theaters? And then from what I understand, even before it hit Disney Plus, it was doing well on VOD. Like it's like the
it's not
VOD.
on Disney Plus yet.
No, but before it's getting to Disney Plus,
Right.
that streaming wise, it's doing well just from video on demand.
Yeah, I mean, clearly this is a huge success. And honestly, it's a sequel that I never really thought about too.
Yeah, I can see
It's
that.
like that movie could have stood on its own and never get a sequel again, like most Disney movies. Now, some of the newer ones, they're getting sequels, like some of their newest slate, like Frozen, Wreck-It Ralph, Zootopia, Moana, they're all getting sequels now because they're making all the money. But yeah, I think to me, this showcases that they didn't really have a solid enough story to kind of make it make it its own, and because of these box office numbers, we're getting a third. 100% we're getting a third. They
Oh,
even
of
teased a
course.
third movie at the end of this movie anyway. Um, but yeah, I think overall I can understand the nomination, mainly because there weren't other, notable animated features that came out in 2025. So I think this is I'm fine with the nomination. I personally don't see the win. But I think they, as far as story wise, they could have done better because even with the animation, it's the same as the first movie. So it's not like I see major strides in there as well. But I think to the point that you were making, maybe because of the box office success, it's getting the nomination for it, and also just the wide notable, like everyone saw this movie clearly. So like the Oscars and the committee definitely knew about it.
Definitely, definitely. And then of course, you know, I think our main front runner is K-pop Demon Hunters because what a smash success that movie was just from streaming, and also the one weekend it was in theaters for the sing along version. It was number one that weekend. I think I read, and we may have talked about it, that like 110% of viewers watched K-pop Demon Hunter. So it's like everybody, and then plus like 10% rewatchability of like people just having on repeat. But it's a movie that just the rewatchability is there. Like the music is there. Like you can it's just something that you can just vibe to, listen to, put on in the background, or even just sit down and like fully enjoy the story. I think there's such rich storytelling there when it comes to like, you know, good versus evil, or like the evils within ourselves, and trying to find the light, and like how each song plays into that. Like how the music plays into the storytelling is what really, really makes this movie thrive. Like to me, this is the front runner for animated feature.
100%. I mean, it's been winning in all the other categories as well. I mean, it's taken the win at the Golden Globes, at the Critics' Choice. Like this is very much a clear front runner, and rightfully so. This movie came out of nowhere and hit people by storm.
Mm-hmm.
I think the music was definitely the main focal point of this movie of how like people got approached with this movie. Like the song was everywhere when this movie came out, and it was like I wouldn't say an overnight success, but definitely after the first like week or two, people started discovering it. People started doing covers of the song and people recommending it. And then all of a sudden it just blew up and
Mm-hmm.
became like the number one movie like on Netflix and like the animated films, and like it became such a phenomenon. And I think part of it is this one, it was came out of nowhere, completely surprised everyone who wasn't expecting this. And it was completely unexpected. Like no one really talked about this movie prior to it. Even when I was doing my new to streaming, I didn't really get a poster for this movie, so I didn't really include it in my I thought it was just like like K-pop Demon Hunters. Okay, that seems like an animated series, come and gone, not even gonna think about it. And then all of a sudden I was like, wait a minute, this is something big. I should have gave this more attention. And then when you watch it, that's when you're like, oh shit,
Like, oh, I get
this
it.
is
I get it now.
I get it now. Yeah, this is something. Holy crap.
Because
Um,
I definitely wrote it off at first, and we talked about it when we reviewed it. But I definitely wrote it off at first, and then you watch it, and it's like you said, it's like you have that realization. You go, oh, okay, this is why it's so popular now. Now I understand, and then we must have watched it. I can't even an embarrassing amount of times is how many times we've watched that movie.
yeah, no, she's like, I'm part of the problem.
Yeah. And then I don't care. Like I'm in the car, I listen to some of the songs without my kids in the car. Like I don't even use them as an excuse. You hear me vibing out to this is what it sounds like.
This is what it sounds like. Oh,
And Golden is also nominated for best song, even though it should be this is what it sounds like, but that's a
yeah.
separate conversation for a separate day.
Yeah, another front runner in that category. But yeah, I think first of all, there's no surprise that K-pop Demon Hunters is nominated for animated feature film. Um, Clear front runner, and I think it's the movie of the year.
Yeah, I agree.
Like, out of all the movies that came out in 2025, I don't think it hit our top 10 at all. I think I might have mentioned it in my honorable mentions,
I don't
as far
remember.
as movies that came out. However, this if there was one movie to classify 2025, in my opinion, this is the one that everybody was talking.
Yeah. Yeah, I
And
totally agree.
rightfully so. It's a great original story with great songs and a great message around it as well. I think it has the full package of what people want in an animated film. Um, but yeah, and it's heartfelt in moments as well, and it teaches you a few things in the process. But
So
yeah, but those are the movies that we've already talked about in full length, and you can catch those if you want a larger review on those films. Go look at our playlist that Ernesto has provided, and you can see. Look at the timestamps below, and it'll direct you to where uh, those longer reviews are. But now we're going to be focusing on the two that we have yet to talk about, and the first one we're going to be talking about is Arco. It is a French film, and it starts in the year 2075, where a girl witnesses a mysterious boy in a rainbow suit fall from the sky. He comes to the idyllic, idyllic far future where time travel is possible. She shelters him and will do whatever it takes to help him return to his time. Ernesto, your thoughts on Arco?
I thought it was an interesting premise because he comes from like this idealistic future. Everybody's living in the trees because I guess the air is just cleaner, it's just better up there, and then he travels back where he thinks he's going to the time of the dinosaurs, but he ends up in this obviously much further in the future where this little girl is, and you've got like forest fires and like robots helping people, and her parents are holograms and not really raising her. But like every house has like this bubble equipped for when there are fires because they're just so used to all these natural disasters happening all the time. So I thought it was interesting that these two people from totally different times were able to find friendship within each other, and I think that was kind of like the point. It's like that friendship can be found no matter where you are, and that certain friendships can last lifetimes. I mean, it was kind of sad. Like it's a very like soft, sad movie. Like there's a couple of comedic moments here and there. I mean, Andy Samberg is one of the voices of the brothers, who they were fine. They were a little weird, but it was fine. To me, it was just more or less like a cute movie with kind of like a sad but hopeful ending. Her and Arco end up in this cave, and her robot who's dying etches out caveman style like their story, and that's basically how the parents who have been flying around all of time basically use it their entire life flying around trying to find him. So like by the time they reaches him, they're old. His sister's like grown almost to like his mother's age, and yet he's still a little boy, which makes sense because time travel and all that.
Mhm.
Um, but it was, I mean, it was fine. The little girl tries to go with him, and they soar off into the sky. And because of the pollution, he wasn't able to just make it all the way through. So then they come crashing down. But yeah, it was a cute movie. It's right under 90 minutes.
Yeah, great. That's what we love right here at
Yeah.
Box Office Bingers. We're getting old, and we kind of take appreciation in some of the shorter run times of these movies.
Yeah, I appreciated the next one even more. But
Yeah, it was a solid 115. You're like, ooh,
it's like,
look
damn.
at that. That gets points already.
Exactly. But I mean, even within under these 90 minutes, we got a full story. It was a full story. Everything was fully fleshed out. The animation was cool. It was like this. It was like this hand drawn like animation, almost like Studio Ghibli style animation.
Yeah, definitely felt like Studio Ghibli for sure. Yeah, I think overall this was a solid movie. I didn't get swept away as maybe I was hoping I would have been,
Yeah.
because I read the description before and I was like, "Ooh, time travel? Oh shit, that's my jam."
I fucking love Back to the Future.
I love time travel shit. And so, but then I felt like it didn't really like it didn't
Well,
really capture me as much as I wanted to, even though it kind of did a little bit of that toward the end of the movie when, as you were describing, we see the parents kind of searching through him through time, and and they got old just in search of him, and that's just the very sad, the sad reality of that situation because and all of this was because the boy wanted to basically go into this rainbow suit that allows them to time travel and allows them to fly, and he just wanted to see the cool things that his older sister and parents were seeing. So he just wanted, like you said, to go back to the age of dinosaurs so he can see that in real life. But instead ends up going into this to some version of the past and then gets stuck there. And then his parents are kind of freaking out and looking for him. We don't see much of the parents and the sister at all in this movie, other than the beginning and the end of the story. But and it was a kind of just really sad take on like here's this one mistake that you made as a kid, but here is the overarching repercussions of that one mistake that you made.
But then it's really interesting because like that one mistake was obviously always supposed to happen because later on the girl from the very beginning she's enamored with like these like cities in the trees. So like she starts
Mhm.
drawing it and then you see like the evolution of like her growing older and then from what I understanding she becomes the person who creates that. Like she like she's the one who actually makes it happen in real life. So it's almost if like that was always supposed to happen anyway.
Yes, that's the same thing I got. And it was told in a way that was very beautiful because like obviously the boy goes back with his family and then she wanted to get herself out of the world that she's living in for a better future that this boy was describing. At the end of the day, they end up parting ways and this was just an adventure that they both had together. And now that moment had sparked like this inspiration of what she's later going to become, and it would appears to be an architect, and she's drawing all these ideas for better sustainable living with the life that she's already in. In a way that's kind of inspiring because it was the future that inspired the past to be the thing. It was kind of like the closing of the loop,
Hmm.
so to speak, where like the thing that inspired the future was the future visiting the past. And I thought that was really kind of a heartfelt story there. And 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 yeah, and it's also just sad to kind of see it as well. And it was done in a way where we just saw the drawings and photos of it rather than like the story explaining itself. I was almost like the credits were about to roll. We're hearing the song sweeping in, and we're basically getting like a zoomed in version of what her desk looks like and all the memories that she's had throughout her life, and then kind of going in and see she's living her own life, but also remembering what came, the adventures that she had, with this whole thing, and and hopefully, I don't know because it was saying a lot too. It was saying neglectful parents, the forest fires, the fact that robots are raising children. They were saying a lot in this movie, trying to making a point here, and
The robot
I
teachers,
sorry,
all the robot teachers.
all the robot teachers like not being there for your children, um, and yeah, I was not a fan of the three brothers. I just found them very annoying, in
Random.
my opinion. It's very random, and, like, the way that they were acting was, like, just over the top, and I think that's a cultural thing. I don't think that is, like clearly that was done on purpose, but, like, I just feel like that doesn't whether it was supposed to spark humor, I didn't find it funny, and I just found it very distracting to the overall story that they were trying to do, because at the end of the day, they wanted the boys they were doing all this out of curiosity. They didn't want to see any harm done to anybody, even though that was the implication going into the beginning of the movie. But at the end of the day, they just wanted information and be knowledge and just kind of validation that they were right
Yeah.
all along. And once they got that, then they were willing to help the boy get to his, get back home, I guess. And in a way, this movie reminded me a lot of E.T., where we have these people that are trying to grab this
Mm.
this this thing that ended up being from the future, but in a ways be an alien. And then here's this person who believes in this boy and wants to get him back home and willing to do anything in order for them to defy the police and all the other robots and all that stuff and break all these laws and put themselves in danger to make sure that this person gets back home safely.
Mm.
Um, and then you also have this robot who this whole time had this baby in his possession. So the girl has a younger sister that the robot is also caring for. And this robot was equally putting this baby in danger, rushing after this girl in fires, in
In
the
a forest,
cave.
having fire, trees lit on fire drop on you. Said, yeah,
Yeah,
here, we're fine. Let's go. Let's keep going.
yeah. And I was like, then this robot died, and then it was up to this little girl to make sure the baby's safe. And I was like, where the fuck are these parents, man? Like, there's no way this baby's not dead. Like, come on. There's no way that whatever tube that this baby's in, like, just leave the baby at home. I feel like it's safer in there in the big ass bubble surrounding the house. Yeah, I might be crying for a bit, but like, at least it's home.
It'll be
It's
alive.
not it'll be alive. It's not in constant danger. At least maybe the parents can go rushing home to look after the baby first, rather than trying to find this robot who's doing all this crazy shit outside. That definitely bothered me throughout the whole movie. It's like, what is this robot doing? What is Mark Ruffalo doing to this baby? Um, but yeah. But overall, I think it was a solid movie with some pretty positive messages behind it.
Yeah.
I think just overall, I just wasn't engrossed with the whole package of the movie.
Yeah, I agree. I agree.
What's your 5-star rating on this?
3.
3? Yeah, I'll just say 3.5. But yeah, three is a good enough your score for me. I think there's enough there. Not something I'm willing to revisit anytime soon. But I think to me, where it started strong and it ended strong, and then there were just a couple of middle parts where I feel like it dragged a little bit, especially when like we were focusing a lot on the three brothers, and I was like, we don't need this in the movie. But I think the world that it presented was really interesting, like this future
Yeah.
of these robot parents and the pollution, and like we're trying to do all this extra work to have this like simple lifestyle, but then we have the real parents of this is always focused on this undisclosed work that they have to do, and then into a future where like we have all these families connected, and they're just spending time together doing research and feels like they're scientists and stuff like that. So I think that the parallels were quite interesting, but overall, I think it was like a solid movie. I can definitely see the nomination of why it was nominated.
Yeah. Same. Same.
The colors were really nice as well. But yeah, let's move over to our next and final film we're going to be talking about on this episode is Little Amélie, or The Character of Rain. It's another French film that was this one's actually based on a novel, and it follows Amélie, a Belgian child in Japan, explores life with her companion uh Nishao San, probably pronounced that wrong. On her third birthday becomes a turning point, making the beginning of her life altering events that shape her understanding of the world. Ernesto, your thoughts on this movie?
I actually really, really enjoyed this. I feel like they, I feel like they achieved so much in such a small amount of time. Like giving us the understanding of like this little girl, and kind of giving you an idea of what it's like to be with a toddler, like a little emotional terrorist who thinks that they know everything, that knows nothing, because that's what toddlers are, little emotional terrorists. I mean, but it was interesting to see her like to be in the mind of someone who like can't articulate what they want, but it's very clear that they know what they want. So I felt like that was an aspect that they nailed. Like I felt like they totally nailed that. Where she knew everything was going on, but then she chose when she wanted to start speaking, and then everybody became like enamored with her. And I mean, I loved how like her describing how her granny sees her. Like we have all these people in our family, but there's always one person in your family that like doesn't see the kid, they see the person with inside of the kid. You know what I mean? So they react to them differently, they treat them differently, and just another aspect that I felt like this movie nailed. And like going through all these different things, and like just the way that they had you experience life through her was just beautiful. I mean, I really, really enjoyed the animation with this. Like going through all the different moments, her almost drowning at the beach, her understanding the meaning of her name in Japanese, and like what that, like I fully understood like what that meant to her as a person, and why she felt like she was Japanese, because she had these people in her life who truly, truly saw her, one of them being her caretaker. And like when she goes through and explains what her name means in Japanese and how it's written in Japanese, when she was explaining how it's written in Japanese, I was like, oh, so that's how Japanese is written. Like, I don't know. Like, I was learning. I was like, oh, is that why that means that? Is that? I said, oh, that makes sense.
Mhm.
So I don't know. Like, I really enjoyed it, and I felt like the hour 15, 17 like pretty much flew by.
Yeah, in a way, like, I'm looking at the animation now as well, and from what I remember, it felt like it came from a very nicely illustrated novel.
Yes.
Like, it feels like it was ripped from the pages of a children's book and put on to a movie. And I think just the animation was very well done that way and kind of and I think you're right, the perspective of a basically through the mindset of a child and seeing what they're thinking about and doing a really good job of explaining that. And also you're in this sense of discovery with this child and like understanding things, but not understanding like understanding what is going on, but not the meaning behind it. So, like, people are upset, but you don't know why. And you have these emotional stories that are being told from other people, and the parents are trying to explain like the generational hurdles that some people have and understanding why the neighbor and the probably the owner of the house was upset with the caretaker spending so much time with the little girl and not understanding that aspect of it. And also just see where toddlers like kinda gravitate to it. It's the vibe that you give out that in order for them to, like and then, like, the patience that you are willing to give them, and, like, you're seeing these relationships kind of grow, but then at the end of the day, by the end of this movie, it's kinda sad because, like, they probably never saw each other again, yet this was a big an important person in their life at this point in their life, but then these people were just an avenue for you to grow and be the person that you are later in life um, but not necessarily a person that's gonna be with you for forever, just by the circumstances of how, kinda things work out. But I think, it was there was I thought this little girl was gonna die when she was in the water.
Yeah,
Yeah,
same, same.
I was like, "Oh, damn." Like, this this took a dark turn.
But I
Um,
feel like she was on the edge of death because we see her in that dream state and she's talking to her granny who had already died at this point,
yes. Yeah,
and
she almost
explaining to
died, like,
her.
twice, from the water itself. And also, like, there was a moment where they misunderstood like, the parents misunderstood a situation where they gave her the fish for her birthday,
Oh yeah,
um,
yeah.
and they thought that she loved the fish and she was so enamored by the fish itself, but in actuality, she despised the fish for the representation of having this boys' day, and also because they looked ugly like a boy. And so and then the thing that what the parents were kind of seeing from that are very different from what the true implications of what it was inside her mind and just the misunderstanding behind that. So I think that was another interesting factor of like sometimes the parents are not always, in full alignment of what the kids are kind of thinking. And the relationships that you build with your children are extremely important. And you can see who they gravitate toward at the end of the day. And also I just think it's like her sense of discovery was also a beautiful thing. Like we're
Mhm,
seeing all these um like, even, like, her discovering certain stories, certain fruits, the spinning top,
mhm.
there as well, and, like, what that meant, and what that represented. I think this story was really well done. At the beginning, I wasn't in favor of it, but I think it grew on me toward the end of the story.
Well, oh, just the story in general.
Yeah, I feel like the self-narration I didn't know exactly where we were going with this. The fact that I thought it was just her being basically, like, in this vegetable state. I thought that that's where the story was going. I was like, "Okay, so here's this perspective of a child who can't talk, but knows what's going on, and we're just gonna be in this state for the rest of the movie." So the fact that it was, like, she was, what, 2 years old before she
Mhm.
started verbally talking and fully moving, I thought was an interesting start of the story.
Yeah, and also I also really love the perception, like, oh, she only knows this word. She's like, Or she's like saying everybody's name, but she didn't say the brother. She's like, "No, I know how to talk. I just didn't want to say it." It's like, oh,
Yeah.
damn, little girl. I guess you know more than what we think, and I think that's true to kids. Like they do, they know. I think they are smarter than people give them credit for.
Hmm. Yeah, I can see that. But yeah, I think overall this was another solid movie. I don't think I was fully. I can definitely see the nomination.
Yeah.
Just purely by the animation itself and its very unique storytelling. I think it was really well done. I think there was a very thoughtful message behind this, of even for like just a toddler growing up. I think the implication that she ended up moving out of Japan and moving somewhere else, and this was just like this chapter in her life that's a bigger implications. And even at a young age, she experienced death and loss and
Hmm.
heartbreak, but also discovery and wonder and excitement. Is all the feelings that are coming out as a young child. I think that was explored very. It was really well done and animated really well. Um, but yeah, I think at the end of the day, again, another story that I appreciated, but I wasn't fully involved with. But I think this was a little bit better than what Arco was.
Yeah, I totally agree. I think if I had to give this a rating, I'd probably give it 4 stars.
I was in the line of 3.5, but yeah,
I
somewhere
can,
around there. Like
I
I
can
don't
meet you
think
at
it
three
was.
and a, I can meet you at 3.5.
Yeah, I don't think it was a bad movie at all. Um, I just feel like it just didn't quite hit as maybe as what I wanted to on that.
Yeah,
But it was still a really good animated feature. And as we kind of look at all this as a whole, I think each one of these animated features deserved the nomination that it did.
yeah, 100%. I'm really pleased with all the ones that were nominated this year.
Yeah, and there is not really a bad one in the bunch. They all have their own right to be on this list and have their own, meaningful storytelling and unique animation that they brought to the table on each one of these. And so, yeah, I'm definitely not mad at this list. Clearly, there is a front runner, which is
Hmm.
K-pop Demon Hunters. That's no question about that. But I feel like if there was any other one to kind of like be in a second place scenario, I'm almost putting my money on one of Arco or Little Amelie, rather than Elio and Zootopia being like a second place, like sleeper, snatching it away from K-pop Demon.
Yeah, I think I would like to see that go to this one, Little Amelie or the character of Rain. I just felt like the story. I liked Arco, but I felt like the story was a little bit stronger in this one.
Yeah, I 100% agree with that. Like, and also this was more grounded by reality as well.
Yes.
I mean, yeah, I mean, this one out of all of them, this was most the most grounded by reality. Rather than like aliens, demons, and talking animals. Like,
I guess that's
yeah,
true.
and the feud and time travel. I think this one has the most some legs to stand on here. As far as like, yeah, these are actually real world implications that could be happening. Um, But anyway, that is our spoiler reviews and our thoughts on the short nominees for the best animated short films and the nominees for the animated feature films. And that is all the show we have for you guys this week. As always, you can follow us on all of our social media channels on Facebook, YouTube, and TikTok at Box Office Bingers, our X and Letterbox page at Box Office Binger, and our Threads and Instagram page at Box Office _ Bingers. The fun doesn't stop here. It continues on all of our social media channels, so be sure to give each one of those a follow. As always, we will give you what's new to streaming every Friday and the box office numbers every Sunday, as well as our movie reviews on our Letterbox page and the fun shorts that we put out on the other social media channels. So yeah, the fun doesn't stop here. It continues over there. We really appreciate if you follow us on all those platforms. Ernesto, next week, what the people can we look forward to?
So I think we're going to be knocking out the rest of the actor noms. So we're going to be looking at Rose Byrne's film. If I had legs, I'd kick you. We're going to look at Kate Hudson in Song Sung Blue. We're also going to be talking over all the live action shorts. Am I missing one, Matt? I feel like I'm missing one.
Yeah, Ethan Hawke and Blue Moon.
I thought I said that. I might have said that. I'm sorry. Yeah, so we're going to also be looking at Ethan Hawke and Blue Moon as well. So we're going to be talking about all those kind of on the next chapter of our continuing Oscar coverage. And We're getting close to being done. We got a lot of this shit knocked out already. We've already
Yeah,
watched.
we really did. This is surprisingly has been a really easy year, knock on wood, for us of
Yeah,
finding some of the material, some of these films just being readily available. We don't have to do the large searching for most of these. It's available very easily.
yeah.
So I'm very happy that we're not, trying to scour the internet to find the deepest, darkest webs to find a like one of the years we had to go into a Facebook comment and it was somebody filming the short from somewhere else
Yeah.
through the comment section of a Facebook post. It was very strange. I'm happy that we don't have to do that because it's like, oh yeah, just go here and it's right there. It's like, oh, thank you.
Thank you.
Jeez.
It's like, wow, was that easy?
Is that
I don't have to watch a video of somebody else watching the video.
Yes. So yeah, luckily, knock on wood, we've been doing really well on it. But yeah, as Ernesto suggested, next week we're to be finishing out the acting categories. Blue Moon's also nominated for Best Original Screenplay. So we'll be talking about wrapping up that category and then all of the live action shorts that we'll be talking about those as well. And yeah, just the road to the Oscars. We are doing pretty well. We're doing our due diligence here of kind of talking about it, and we appreciate you guys going along for the ride. Again, this is typically what we do around for the month of February. Is kind of going over all the Oscar nominated stuff, and when we have time, we'll go over some of the kind of the more popular, more talked about shows and movies that come out in theaters. I know I still want to see. I haven't seen it yet, but I still want to see Send Help, Sam
Mm.
Raimi's new film on that just hit theaters. I know Emerald Fennell's new film, Wuthering Heights, is about to drop in theaters. That's getting really mixed reviews.
Yeah, I saw some really, really bad reviews. I'm actually, I plan on trying to see Send Help before our next show. So if I,
Okay,
so yeah, I think the plan is I'm probably gonna see it tomorrow, but in case something crazy happens, I won't be make
yeah.
it to the theater. But that's the plan for right now.
Yeah, I do also want to see. I know we also we also want to have our full discussion on Fallout season 2. So like those will definitely be sprinkled throughout these episodes as well. If there's anything big in the entertainment news, we'll discuss it there. Um, but yeah, the bulk of what we're still talking about for at least for the next 3 more episodes are going to be kind of down the road to the Oscars and our live action and our acting categories and our live action shorts are going to be the next on the list. And after that, we're going to be diving into all of the documentaries, the features, and the shorts. And Ernesto has gone through some of them already, and you're telling me there are a whirlwind of entertainment that I'm about to be bestowed on.
Yeah, some of them are really fucking sad.
Yeah.
Like prepare to be depressed. Like that's what these documentaries say. Like
So, so look forward to depression in our future episode as we bring the mood down on all of these. But I think, as always, and we like to do this because I think this is what the Academy is deemed as the best of the best, and I think we were just kind of doing our due diligence to see what they're all about and what they're being seen as the best of best of these categories. And so we always like talking about the Oscars and going through this process. And to me, I think it's worth it. I think it's fun.
yeah, same. I always this is like my favorite part of the year.
Yes, especially when we get down to the predictions episode. I feel like the predictions episode for us is like here's all our hard work going down into one episode.
Yeah,
Like we
pretty
have
much.
meaningful things to say about each one of these categories because we took the time to actually watch them.
Yeah,
So I think we have some legs to stand on, and also it just makes watching the ceremony just way more interesting
yeah.
since we've actually seen some of them as well.
It makes it worth it.
Definitely makes it worth it. So come back next week for more movie fun. You're not going to regret it. And for that, I've been your host, Matt Diaz.
And I've been Ernesto Santos. See ya.